However, we'll start with the first game. We'll go to Johnny, and we've got the Cleveland Browns coming in at 5th against the Houston Texans, who got the 4th seed. 9:30 kickoff this Saturday coming. It should be a good game. I mean, Flacco Mania is running wild with the Cleveland team at the minute. He got to sit in the game the other night. CJ Stroud back from his injury, looking at his best with the Houston Texans. They put on a real great performance to win the division on that Saturday night game. This is going to be an exciting game. I think more people are going to watch this game now than if you asked them about 6 weeks ago, would you watch this playoff game? I think people would be like, oh, I'm not really bothered. But now, because of the momentum these teams have both have got, it's going to be a good game, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I think two teams who, like you say, I think at the start of the season, hardly anyone would have predicted this to be a playoff fixture. They've had, both teams have had their struggles at times, but have, obviously the Texans and CJ Stroud, what an unbelievable season he's having. It's, all on him. The Texans haven't performed when he's been injured and he's backfiring. So yeah, coming up against an elite defense in the Cleveland Browns, probably the best defense in the league this season. They've carried the team to the playoffs with the quarterback issues. But I think if Cleveland's offense can consistently move the ball as they have been with Joe Flacco, hopefully limit the turnovers as well, and the secondary in Houston has overperformed this year. Derek Stingley's looking great, but I think it's going to be a game that's decided on time margins. I do think they're quite evenly matched in terms of their pros and their cons. But if I had to choose, I think I will go Cleveland. Mainly because of that elite defense. The likes of Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith. That's just a unit of who have tormented most teams already this season. And I think with the Texans, perhaps that playoff inexperience could play a factor, but yeah, I think it's going to be a really, really good fixture because there's so much talent, I think, across the board in both these teams. But yeah, the Browns, I think, are deserved favourites going into this one.
The brightest star at the quarterback position, Adam, coming up against the number one defense in the league at the minute. Both teams on firing on all cylinders. It feels like there's a Joe Flacco effect over in Cleveland. How do you see this one going?
I think it's going to be a really exciting game, actually. Like you said, it's one that 6 weeks ago we might not have thought of. It's a bit of a, it's kind of been given the early Saturday slot in America, but it kind of feels like it's one of the more exciting ones. I think it's going to be really close. That's definitely one thing for certain. And to be honest, I do think it could pretty much go either way. I think that CJ Stroud is just that good that he will be able to make the difference there. It's really difficult to go against the defenses, though. I mean, the fact is like it is the old saying, isn't it, that it wins championships and stuff like that, and it is true. I think in this particular one, if Flacco is still got the momentum that he's had in the back end of the season, then I would be surprised if the Browns defense just don't do just enough in order to stop CJ Stroud. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a very, very tight contest between these two. And also, I do think with CJ Stroud and the way that it's gone, the O-line has been better, but it hasn't been amazing. I do think it kind of opens up a bit of a question for a lot of other teams, and this is something for a different episode completely, but almost like a lot of other teams have kind of come out and gone, oh, well, it hasn't really worked out. It's like, well, this guy's literally walked through the door with a new head coach who's just walked through the door and not a particularly great roster, and they're in the playoffs. So, a lot of these teams that didn't make it, there's not a lot of excuses for next year. They should be doing better in the short space of time like the Texans had. So, but for me, I think the Browns will nick it.
Well, it might be, but we get a little bit of CJ Stroud like he did against Georgia in the playoffs of college. You might get a bit more mobile, a bit more free throwing.
And he lost that, didn't he? So